I had actually known Hal Ashby for a number of years because when I was a student at USC Film School, we were going to put together some films about people doing different crafts in movie making, you know, cinematography and editing and production design and that kind of thing. And one of the people I was really interested in having part of that was Hal Ashby, who at the time was an editor. So I kind of knew him first when he was an editor for Norman Jewison. He did a lot of films with him and won an Academy Award. And it was really great, and I just really hit it off with him and really liked him. And then, because Norman Jewison had used Haskell Wexler on a number of movies, I knew, you know, I followed through because Haskell was kind of a mentor for me as well. I ended up getting out of school and worked my way through till I got my first film, which was The Black Stallion. And then I did More American Graffiti, and then Hal asked me to do Being There.
This is just like television, only you can see much further.
To this day, it's one of the best experiences I ever had because Peter Sellers and Hal Ashby were such a great team, and it was so much fun to do the movie because Peter was so funny. The way we treated the movie was we made a movie that was about power and politics. We did not make a comedy. And if you were going to find out if the film is a comedy, which it is, you have to get that from Peter Sellers' performance by the disparity and the confusion between the way he behaves and what we understand about him and what the way the world perceives him. The way they would perceive things that he said as being metaphors for other things, but in fact he was actually being very serious about what he was saying.
Could you please tell me where I can find a garden to work in?
A garden? You're growing, man.
There is much to be done during the winter. I should start the seeds for the spring and work the soil.
It was based on a book by Jerzy Kosinski. It's a very short book, which, you know, the French New Wave filmmakers always said very short novels make better movies than very long novels, and it's really true. And the other thing about it is that the television, which is always talked about in the book, doesn't really have a real character, but Hal did a lot of research and found a lot of really good clips that Peter would be watching in the film to help you understand his personality. And so that became an additional character in the movie that doesn't exist in the book. Even though Jerzy Kosinski gets credit for the whole script, the script was actually written by a guy named Bob Jones. And his script, which we used to make the movie, is probably as close to the finished movie as any script I've ever done. Because most of the time you have a script and in the course of making the movie, things will be edited and changed around where they are in the script, and some scenes will be cut, and sometimes you'll add another scene and shoot it later. And in this case, the film is almost exactly like the script. It's pretty amazing. I've really never had that experience.
To get whatever you
When I would work with Hal is that we would always come in the morning and we would block the scenes, and Hal and I would both watch the scene and, you know, rehearse it a couple of times, and he made a few comments, and then I'd suggest some things to him, and then, you know, we might start on different sides of the room and everything, but as it would come together, we would eventually all end up exactly in the same place, and we go like, this is where the camera goes. The thing that was great about him as being an editor first is that he would know the pieces that he needed. So if he wanted to do another take, he would know what sections that, you know, he felt he didn't have. So he was really clear about that. I mean, I know that when he did Coming Home, which he had done before Being There, you know, everybody who worked on the film kept telling me about how Jon Voight's performance was just all over the place, and they really didn't think it was going to go together or anything. But Hal felt very confident about it, and when he edited the film together, Jon Voight's performance is just extraordinary, and he ended up getting an Academy Award.
Now get this honky. Sorry.
I mean, it's funny because I have the script and I have that scene that we never got, and it was one of these things where when we were shooting it, it always would get to a certain point where we'd just start laughing, and either Peter would laugh, or Hal would laugh, or I would laugh, and we'd ruin the take.
To get his ass down here. Oh, shit.
Laura Marr hated that idea of showing that because they thought it took you out of the movie, but Hal sort of thought that it was something that showed, you know, how incredible Peter Sellers was as a performer, that that, you know, he could get humor out of almost anything, which he did, you know.
Then he said that I was to get my white ass out of there quick or he'd cut it.